Good evening, ma'am. By the way, this is Mr.Pantujan and I will be the one who will report about Australia police system. So law enforcement in Australia is one of the three major components of the country's justice system, along with courts and corrections. Law enforcement officers are employed by all three levels of government: federal, state, territory, and local. So the criminal justice system in Australia, it consists of three pillars, which is law enforcement, court, and correction. So today there are three main levels of law enforcement available in Australia, which serves to protect citizens. So they are the federal, state territory, and local. And then each state of Australia has its own state police force. Municipalities do not have police forces, and it is left to the state forces to police all geographic areas within their respective states. So Australia does have a national police force, but they have Australian Federal Police. So when we talk Australian Federal Police Force, is the national and principal federal law enforcement agency of the Australian government, with a unique role of investigating crime and protecting the national security of the Commonwealth of Australia. So the Australia Federal Police, or AFP, is the main law enforcement agency of Australia, which has a wide mandate to enforce Australian criminal law and protects its national interest. The AFP is an independent agency of the Department of Home Affairs, and it is responsible to the Minister for Home Affairs and accountable to the Parliament of Australia. So sila ang may gitahasan to investigate the crime and protecting the national security of the Commonwealth of Australia. So let's talk about the history of federal police in Australia. So way back 1901, wala pa dyan police agency nga mo enforce sa federal or Commonwealth law. Instead, the various state police forces were called upon the Commonwealth as required. But during the later stages of World War I, on November 29, 1917, at a public rally over this issue in the rural Queensland township of Warwick, si Australian Prime Minister si Billy Hughes ay binato siya ng itlog sa netizens sa state ng Queensland. But ang insidenteng naganap ay walang ginawang aksyon sa bahagi ng pulis ng Queensland. Kaya si Hughes ay gumugol ng ilang buwan sa pagtatalo at pakikipaglaban sa gobyerno ng Queensland na pinanguluhan ng conscriptionist nitong si Premier T.J. Ryan. However, Australian Prime Minister Billy Hughes felt that it was necessary to create a Commonwealth police force to ensure that Commonwealth law was adhered to in what he regarded as a rogue or state. So anong panahon na, which is the COMPOL, was the first federal police established in 1917 and operates under different names and in some periods of multiple organizations. In late 1979, the Commonwealth Police and Australian Capital Territory Police were merged to form the Australian Federal Police, or AFP. So muna na yung panahon na atong 1979 na buo dayon ang Australian Federal Police, or AFP. So when we talk about role and function, the AFP's role is to enforce Commonwealth criminal law, contribute to combating complex, transnational, serious, and organized crime impacting Australia's national security, and to protect Commonwealth interests from criminal activity in Australia and overseas. The police also has responsibility for providing policing services to the Australian Capital Territory and Australia's territories, including Christmas Island, Cocos-Keeling Islands, Norfolk Island, and Jervis Bay. So the Australian Federal Police is the national and principal federal law enforcement agency of the Australian government, with the unique role of investigating crime and protecting the national security of the Commonwealth of Australia. The AFP has a focus on preventing investigation and disrupting transnational, serious, complex, and organized crime, including terrorism and violent extremism, cybercrime, child exploitation, exploitation, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The AFP is also responsible for delivering community policing in the Australian Capital Territory through act policing to other dependent territories, specifically the Jervis Bay Territory and Australia's other external territories such as Norfolk Island, Christmas Island, and the Cocos Island, and also providing protective security in major airports and close protection for dignitaries including the Prime Minister of Australia and foreign diplomatic missions, delivering law enforcement training for Asia-Pacific partner agencies, acting as Australia's international law enforcement and policing representative, and contributing to United Nations peacekeeping around the world. The AFP is also a member of the National Intelligence Community and work closely with the Australian Security Intelligence Organization, the Australian Border Force, and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission. So the three key elements to the AFP's role internationally are, collaboration, brokering collaboration with international law enforcement agencies to drive investigations and support bilateral or multilateral cooperation. So the AFP has a partnership to the various countries, and one of them is the Philippines. In November last year, Australia and the Philippines signed a joint declaration on the comprehensive partnership, elevating the status of the two-country relationship. Bill Tweedale, Australia's former ambassador in Manila, has held a 30 years partnership between police in Australia and the Philippines, where AFP officers have worked closely, cooperatively, and successfully with their Philippine counterparts. Ambassador Tweedle said Australia and the Philippines will continue to value the law enforcement links between our two nations, which reflect the importance of regional and bilateral partnerships in addressing security challenges and disrupting criminal activities. So next is intelligence gathering, collection and exchange of criminal intelligence in support of international law enforcement officers. So example for cooperation intelligence gathering is like that AISIS or Australian Secret Intelligence Service. So they are the foreign intelligence agency of Australian gatherers, or gitawag sila as spy secret agents or special agents, wherein they collect and evaluates intelligence information as it pertains national security. Nag-gather sila analyzing data, and then they also reviewing foreign newspapers, magazines, and other media sources for information related to potential intelligence. So mao na siya ang gitawag og collection and exchange of criminal intelligence in support of international law enforcement. So mag-collect sila data and then i-analyzes ang mga data gathered or data being collected so that they could create an action one in order to that they could support for enforcement of international law. So next is capacity building, enhancing the capacity and the capability of international law enforcement agencies to combat transnational crime. So Australia will provide implementation support to the Philippines' new counter-terrorism legislation, including training and capacity building activities involving the judiciary, prosecutors, and police. Ang mga AFP officers, gina-improve nila ang capacity sa mga law enforcement sa Australia and Philippines through training by implementing applied management, intelligence reporting and analysis, investigations, management, surveillance, hostage, negotiations, and many more. Nag-provide po sila establishment of explosive laboratories and bomb data centers at the PNP Camp Crane headquarters and the Mindanao Area Police Intelligence Officers. And then, nag-donate sad sila computerized facial imagery recognition software or FaceFit, which produces more realistic images of crime suspects in less time than traditional hand-drawn sketches. So technical assistance and support across a range of law enforcement activities. So over 400 million pesos worth of equipment and building have been provided to Philippine law enforcement agencies in additional to training and capacity building activities. So muna ang ilang na-contribute or natabang sa TOA. So next is qualification and training. So are you eligible? So to be police officer in the AFP, you must be 18 years old of age or over, be an Australian citizen, hold a valid, full, provisional, or automatic only driver's license, have at least a year 10 certificate with a certificate for diploma level qualification or trade certificate. University level qualification are welcome. So next is, what do you need your application? So complete and submit the employment suitability questionnaire. Provide a copy of your traffic history. Provide proof of your Australian citizenship. Provide a copy of your driver's license. Provide evidence of your highest level of education. So the application process. So there are a 7-step process to becoming an Australian Federal Police Officer. First is register. Pass the AFP entrance exam. Pass the fitness assessment. Complete a detailed application. Pass a medical and psychological assessment. Pass a security assessment. Attend the 2-day assessment center course. So, health and fitness requirements. Australian Federal Police officers must be fit enough to carry out duties. If you are active and lead a healthy lifestyle, so you should not have a problem passing the initial fitness assessment. This consists of a beep test, push-ups, and set-ups. So training at the AFP College. Once you are accepted into the AFP, you will train full-time at the AFP College in Barton, Canberra. You will be taught and trained by expert instructors in all aspects of police work, including law, investigation techniques, police powers, firearms, driver training, and mandatory physical fitness training. So recruits will live at the AFP College or nearby in Canberra during training. So there are 7 state police force. So all state and territory police agencies are responsible for managing and enforcing laws regarding community safety and protection. This involves investigating and preventing crime, enforcing road and traffic rules, preserving the peace, dealing with missing persons reports, assisting in personal emergencies, and managing and coordinating emergency incidents. So first state police is NSW or New South Wales. Is the primary law enforcement agency of the state of New South Wales, Australia, divided into police area commands or PACs for metropolitan areas and police districts or PDS. For regional and country areas, the NSW police force consists of more than 400 police stations and over 18,000 officers who are responsible for covering an area of 801,600 square kilometers and a population of more than 8.2 million people. Next is NT Police or Northern Territory Police Force. Is the police body that has a legal jurisdiction over the Northern Territory of Australia. This police has 1,537 police members as at July 31, 2019, made up of 79 senior sergeants, 228 sergeants, 839 constables, 208 auxiliaries, and 73 Aboriginal community police officers. The rest of the positions are members of commissioned rank and inoperative positions as of July 31, 2019. It also has a civilian staff working across the NT Police, Fire and Emergency Services. So next is QP Service, or Queensland Police Service. Is the principal law enforcement agency responsible for policing the Australian state of Queensland. In 1990, the Queensland Police Force was officially renamed the Queensland Police Service, and the old motto of firmness with courtesy was changed to with honor we serve. The headquarters of the Queensland Police Service is located at 200 Roma Street, Brisbane. Next is SAPOL. The South Australia Police, or SAPOL, is the police force of the Australian state of South Australia. It is an agency of the Government of South Australia within the South Australian Department of Justice. SAPOL is directed by the Commissioner of Police, who reports to the Minister for Police. As of June 30, 2017, South Australia Police had 4,948 active sworn members, including 339 cadets in training and 132 protective services officers, as well as approximately 920 civilian staff operating across 28 metropolitan and 100 regional police stations. So next is Tasmania Police. Tasmania Police is the primary law enforcement agency of the Australian state of Tasmania, established in 1899. The force has more than 1,300 officers policing Tasmania's population of over 500,000 people. So next is Victoria Police. Victoria Police is the primary law enforcement agency of Victoria, Australia. It was formed in 1853 and currently operates under the Victoria Police Act 2013. Next is WAPOL, the Western Australia Police Force. Colloquially, WAPOL provides police services throughout the state of Western Australia, an area of 2.5 million square kilometers, the world's largest non-federated area of jurisdiction, with a population of only 2.474 million, of which 2.14 million reside in the Perth metropolitan region. So next is Council Rangers. Council Rangers are officers employed by local government areas in Australia to enforce the bylaws, local laws in Western Australia of those local governments, and a limited range of state laws relating to such matters as litter control, animal control, dog laws, fire control, off-road vehicles, emergency management, and parking. So, Council Ranger is also referred to as local laws officers. In some of Australia's eastern states, rangers are responsible for enforcing of road vehicles laws by patrolling bush lands, beaches, and reserves to protect sensitive areas from unauthorized off-road vehicles use, unless they are also sworn as special constables. Rangers do not have police force. Rangers do not have full police power, rather. So next is uh, Australia. Australian state and federal police routinely carrying firearms. So, mao ang ginagamit ng mga equipments sa Australian Federal Police and every state of police force in Australia. So, first is handgun. Next is taser. Mao na siya ang kanang kurinti nga iana sa imuha sa mga suspect or mga ana. Then, next is expandable baton. Next is paper spray. Para sa mata ni siya. Handcuffs, torch, two-way radio. So next is ranks highest to lowest. So the highest ranked is commissioner, chief commissioner, deputy commissioner, senior assistant commissioner, assistant commissioner, chief superintendent, chief inspector, senior sergeant, incremental sergeant, leading senior constable, incremental senior constable, and constable. And that's all my report, ma'am. And the next reporter is si Neil Adaza, ma'am, for police system in Hong Kong. And that would be all. Thank you.